Welcome to Dog on the Plot. I'm Kerry, this is Dory, and it's a horrible, nasty, stormy weekend. So I thought we'd think ahead to some February sowings. So I've got 8 seeds that I'm going to sow in February, and there's a bonus which we need a little field trip for tomorrow. So let's get stuck in. So the very first seed that I'm going to grow in February is Loofer Seed, and I am hoping that it will be third year lucky for Lufa. In the first year, I've never had any problem with germination. Germination has always been fine. I'll tell you in a minute how I'm going to germinate these. It's the growing on that's been a problem, and I think in the first year I probably just didn't give them the attention they deserved, and I think they were pretty much crowded out by everything else that was going on in the home greenhouse because that's the only undercover space I had to grow them. In the second year, I tried to grow them outside because I'd seen someone at the allotment have a lot of success with loofahs outside, and the slugs just ate them. Now this year I have a lot more undercover growing space, so I'm committing to getting a loofah because Clare at the Farmyard Garden sent me a loofah that she had grown last year, and the absolute joy of opening up that fruit and finding the sponge inside and then being able to try it and use it to make soaps. And then I saved all this seed, and this is the seed that I'm going to use. So Clare doesn't live that far away from me. It's accustomed to our growing conditions, and I'm really hopeful that I'm going to get a loofah. Now, in terms of getting these to germinate, I'm going to do what I've done in previous years, which is nip the corner of the seed. So you're just nipping the casing off. You don't want to try and damage anything inside that casing, but just allowing for that shoot to push through a little bit easier. I believe last year I soaked them, but this year I might just chip them in damp kitchen paper. But as I say, I've not had a problem with germination before. It's just getting to them to the point of fruiting. Now for my second seed, I'm taking advantage of this break in the weather to find my piece of guttering. So my piece of guttering somewhat gives the game away. This one is peas, or early peas. And I did all my peas in guttering last year pretty much, and I loved it. It worked really well, and I'll definitely be doing it again this year. The length of this piece of guttering is the exact length of my raised beds in the home garden as well, and I can also suspend it in the greenhouse to keep those peas safe from rodents. Now the variety that I'm starting with this year, and I have got a lot of different varieties that I'm going to be sowing, but the one I'm starting with is Meteor. And that's because it's an early pea, and actually you can sow this outdoors from January. It's a very hardy early pea, and it's a versatile dwarf variety. And one of the things that I've done this year is make notes of all the heights of my peas, because last year I did multiple varieties in my guttering, and then when I put them out, they were growing to different heights and so needed different supports. Now my sowing calendar has been brilliant so far. I'm really enjoying using it, and obviously I'm sowing more than 8 seeds over February, so I'll put the entirety of my seed sowing for February at the end of the video. Now the third seed that I'm going to sow in February, in fact I'm going to do it right now, is, well, you know who I've been influenced by for this, but it's an early cucumber to grow on indoors. Now you have to be a bit careful about the variety you choose for trying this. And I've got this one from Yorkshire Seeds, which is called Salad Cucumber Bush, grow in baskets and small spaces. And that's kind of what you're looking for, is a small, compact cucumber that also has all female flowers. And I did look this up and it says all female. So I'm just going to give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'm only going to do 2, well, I've done 2 pots. Maybe I'll put 2 seeds in each of the pots, because actually, you know, most cucumbers that you buy now, you get like 5 seeds in if you're lucky. This has got 30 seeds in, so that's good. So Yorkshire Seeds, generous. Okay, so let's put 2 in each of these pots. That one. There we go. So I'm just gonna, the soil is damp. This is compost that I've had in the house, so it's fairly warm. I am just gonna water those in so the soil settles around the seed. There we go. I'm going to put those on some warmth to begin, but once they come up, if they come up, I'll take them off the heat, but they're going to be indoor cucumbers, so I'll keep you posted on how they go. So number 4 on my list is Strawflowers. And this is another one that's a third time lucky, but last year was my 3rd year and this was the lucky. And I mean, I absolutely loved them. And the problem I'd had in previous years was that they kept getting caught by frost before they flowered. So the buds would be there and it would be so close and then the frost would come and kill them off. But this year they flowered in plenty of time, and that was because last year I started them much earlier, and I'm going to be doing the same this year. So we commonly see Strawflowers looking kind of like this. I mean, just so stunning, and you know, with the characteristic straw-like petals. But when they fully open, they look like that. They're like a little pincushion. And this, oh, it's so soft, it's lovely. But that is the seed. And you'll see it go kind of puffy if you allow it to dry, and then you can pick the seeds out, which is what I did. In fact, I can probably do that there. You see? There's the seed. Now this one has been in the house all winter, so I did pick the seed fresh, and yeah, I'm excited to see what my germination will be like with saved Strawflower seed. And while we're here, we'll do our next seed, which is another flower seed, some of which is saved, and that is sweet peas. So some people will have sown their sweet peas in the autumn. You could have sown them last month, but there's still plenty of time for sweet peas. Now mine are all mixed in this jar. I had loads of packets of seed and my saved seed. And you know what? I'm not that fussed about keeping track of the varieties of these. I've kind of lost track already of the saved ones that I've done. And I mix them all together in the end anyway. It's not like I've got a colour scheme going for my sweet peas. So this is just to make it a little bit easier. I opened all my packets and put them into this jar so it'll be easier when I'm sowing. And I just think sweet peas are just one of those staples of the garden. They look amazing, they smell beautiful, you can cut them and they just keep coming, and in fact you can get them going all the way till autumn. Now there are some sweet peas that will go longer than that. Now this rather unimpressive tray of seedlings, mostly weeds, is actually perennial sweet peas. Now I sowed these last year and some went out into the garden, but others kind of got neglected and forgotten, but they're still fine. They've been overwintering in the greenhouse and I can plant them out in the spring, and I've got a lot more seed for perennial sweet peas, which I will be sowing as well. Now perennial sweet pea seed is a little bit harder to germinate, but what I shall do with that, and my normal sweet peas probably as well, is just nick the edge of the seed like we were doing with the Lufa, just to give it that extra head start, and I shall probably also soak the seed before sowing as well. But I mean, yeah, love sweet peas. Number 5, sweet peas. Well, this one's a little bit of a cheat because it's a family of seeds as opposed to a single variety, but it's brassicas. So I'm going to start with cabbages. I've got 3 varieties of cabbages that I'm going to do in February, but I'm going to succession sow them along the month. And the first one, probably next week, will be Golden Acre cabbage. Now this one did really well for me last year. It germinated really well. When I put it out, it got completely eaten by slugs. So I didn't get a single Golden Acre cabbage. I did give a seedling to my nephew and he successfully grew one. And I did give some of the seedlings to Clare at the Farmyard Garden and she successfully grew them. So this year it's my turn. So I'm going to start with Golden Acre. Then I've got Pratino F1, which is a new one to me, and Greyhound, which of course is a classic canonical shaped cabbage. The other 2 brassicas that I'm going to grow are a Brussels sprout called Groninger. I've never had much success with Brussels sprouts. Really, the only brassica that I've really grown very successfully is kale, but could all turn around this year. So doing the 1 Brussels sprout, and then I'm starting a cauliflower, and I'm going with a Graffiti F1, which actually I think I did get one of those last year. Now, the reason I picked these particular brassicas, and I've got a lot in my seed folders, but I picked these ones because these all say sow from February, whereas the other ones are a little bit later. They'll say March or April. So that's why I picked those ones in particular. And that's kind of been my method across choosing which varieties to sow as I'm looking at succession, is to look which ones have the kind of earlier date and which are a bit later. Now, my 7th seed is something that I've never sown this early before, and it's another seed that I really struggled with last year because of slug pressure, and that is carrots. So this carrot is a chantenay, so it's a short carrot, and it says sow from March, but it says in the handy tip, early sowings can be made under cover. So my idea is that I grow these in a bucket and keep them in the greenhouse under cover and see if I can't get an early crop of carrots. So the very last seed that I'm going to sow, wait for my bonus though, is alliums. And I've got 2 alliums that I'm going to sow. One is onion long red Florence. This is a particularly nice spring onion because you can have it as spring onion or you can leave it in the ground and it will bulb up. We'll see what it does. And the other one is Florence fennel. Now this says on here, so May to July. So we're a little bit early. And I'm kind of questioning now why I had this on my list to sow so early, but nevertheless I assume because I'm going to put it under cover, so this will go either into, well, it'll have to go into the polytunnel, I should think. But yeah, Florence fennel. Anybody else starting that in February? So I promised you for this month's bonus seed that we would be taking a little field trip, and that's where we're off to now. And where's Dory going? And what I'm off to get is my seed potatoes. So I'm going to the local nursery where they have loose potatoes that you can buy for your seed potatoes, but you need to go prepared. So the first thing I've got is my little potato guide. This is courtesy of Nick the Grief. So I'm taking that along so I can read up about the different varieties that they have. They have posted online that there's a real shortage of potatoes this year. It was not a good year last year for potatoes. So I'm hoping that we're going to have some good varieties. The other thing I've got is my mesh bags. So they are sold loose. So I'm going to put them in the bags because they're weighed all together to get your price. And also, to keep things organised, I have a pencil and some scrap paper so I can write the varieties on and put that in the bag so I don't get them all mixed up. Right, I'm going to go collect my cousin and head to the garden centre. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9. Right, 9 Charlotte. We don't need these ones then, do we? We want these ones. No. Oh, Dory, don't eat the potatoes. Oh, Stemster's in here. High yields, good disease resistance. I might go for that one. Well, I am back from the garden centre, and if I'm honest, I went a bit rogue. Yep. I went in with a real clear idea of the potatoes that I wanted. For first early, I wanted Red Duke of York. For second early, I wanted Charlotte. And for main crop, I was willing to try something new. But as you saw in the video there, yeah, they're just not got the varieties they would normally have. So there was no loose Red Duke of York. There were some that were bagged, but there's too many in those big bags. So I went off piste a little bit maverick, and I chose 3 different first earlies for this year so I can test them. I went for Pentland Javelin, which I have tried to grow as a Christmas potato before, but I think it got blight. So Pentland Javelin got 3 potatoes. So that will be 1 bucket. And then I went for Rocket, which the nursery had said is a real goer, you know, that people really like the Rocket and come quick, else you won't get your Rocket kind of thing. There was actually a lot of Rocket potato there, and some of them looked a little worse for wear. Anyway, I picked 3 good ones. So I've got Rocket for 1 bucket, and then the other one is Ulster Prince, which I've never grown before either. And so I've got 3 of those. So I'll have 3 buckets of first earlies, different varieties. And then I did get my Charlotte for the second early, so I'm very happy about that. But I still have a box of Charlotte potatoes that were all the green potatoes, and it was Allie at the Right Pair Plot who sort of gave me this tip to keep the green ones for seed potatoes, which I thought was a fabulous idea. There is a couple of maybe a bit too soft. I don't know, actually. There's no rotting in here. They all look fine. But the shoots are absolutely massive. They have well chitted within the shoebox. But what you can do is rub them off, take them off, and start again. You can chit them again. Now, what I did think was interesting is that most of these just have 1 big chit coming off of them. And the thing about seed potatoes when you're picking them is you want to pick ones that have got plenty of little eyes. So when you're looking for your potato, you want kind of a medium size and plenty of little eyes. But clearly these have only really got 1 eye that they're sprouting from at the minute because they've not been chitted in full sunlight yet. But anyway, I'm going to give these a go. So I shall take all the chits off of these and then pop them on the windowsill. And then I can compare these to the Charlottes that I've bought and yeah, see if I can save my own potato seed. Now, there wasn't much choice for main crop, so I went with one that I'd never heard of before, as you do. It's Stempster, and it's been around for a while. It was bred in 1986. It's a cross between Desiree and Maris Piper. It's a pale red main crop, high yields, good disease resistance, good drought resistance, and it's meant to have good flavour too. So that's going to be my main crop, and I got 6 potatoes, so 3 buckets worth. And I also then got a few King Edward, which I've never actually grown before, but I only got 4, so that's 2 buckets worth of the King Edward. But I thought, since those are red potatoes, it'd be nice to have some white potatoes as well. So those are my varieties of seed potato for this year. They'll be chitting away on the windowsill until they're ready to plant out late March, early April. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you're sowing in February, and I hope to see you for next week's vlog.